What's up, Boogie Monsters? Welcome to Remember When, where I, Chris Boogie, reconnect with a guest and we revisit, dissect, and laugh about a time, place, or insane experience we had together. I'm your host, Chris Boogie. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at Chris Boogie with a Y, and on YouTube at Chris Boogie Marcos. Today, I have Josh Ditto. Josh Ditto is a choreographer and singer-songwriter based in New York City, Texas born and California raised. Josh reaches to all arenas of his influences to create an authentic voice from his perspective in order to educate and relate to his audience. Tune into all his socials to find out what's next. Josh, what is up?
What's up, Chris? It's good to see your face.
Dude, it is so good to see you. We've been trying to get you on for a while. We keep on hitting these obstacles, but we persevere.
Not today, Satan.
Not today.
Feel it.
All right, bro. You ready to go back in time with me to 2016?
Ooh, 2016. That's pretty far back, but I think it's worth the effort for sure.
So why don't you start us off? How do we know each other?
Yeah. So Chris was always kind of that big brother in auditions that I would find throughout LA dance community. I really saw him kind of blossom into this theater kid from hip hop and conventional styles, and watched him go through Disney audition, through Warner Brothers, through studio auditions, and then we finally got in the same room at the same time at a callback for In the Heights. We were both, called in for dance ensemble. I know that Chris was being looked at for Graffiti Pete because they instantly asked for all of his tricks, and I was just in the back like, I can also do things. I can do things for you or anybody. But with that, we kind of fostered a really great community of people within that cast, and that's the short and sweet of it. But we can get into the long and thick of it for sure.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy how I believe our paths have crossed numerous times before we even had a face-to-face conversation, which is wild because, people think LA is this big town and everyone's just kind of a small speck in it, but you kind of see a lot of the same people going out for the same things, especially when you go up in the rungs in the musical theater world in LA, you definitely see the same faces everywhere.
For sure. And that transcended even more so towards New York, where I'm seeing the same maybe 20 cats at an audition, any given role that we're all feel like we're suited for and our agents feel like we're suited for. So it's been a trip and definitely a growing experience for sure.
All right. So what was your initial audition like for In the Heights? So you had an audition before that callback, correct?
Right. So they were basically stocking up for the summer. PCPA, which is a Pacific Coast Performing Arts Academy.
I think that's right.
I believe that's right. Anyway, it was hooked up to this community college called Allen Hancock College in Santa Maria, California. And they were basically stocking up for their entire season through the summer. So they were doing dry plays and then 2 musicals. I think 2 plays, I forget what plays they were at the time, but those casts were also separate from the musical casts. It was very rare that any of those crossed over. So they were casting Shrek and In the Heights at the time. And I had come in initially because of In the Heights. And they had me on a singer's call. And so I said, I have a song for you and I have a rap for you. Which would you like to hear? Which is not a good thing. Don't do that anymore. When you have options, just come in the room, do your thing. There's no room for this. We're going to be buddies, right? You're going to be my employer. So anyway, with that, I sung for them first and great, how's your tap? And I said, you know what? I have my shoes in the car. That's all I said. I didn't say that I can tap. I just said that I have my shoes in the car, which is pretty safe to say, I can fake my way through a call, but I am not a tapper. So they had me do like a small combo with the associate choreographer, which I believe was Annalise Fuchs at the time. Fuchs.
Mm-hmm.
She was a resident artist there and an intern with their program. So we did a small tap combo. I made the sounds, maybe not made the look, but I definitely made the sounds. And then they had me sing for them again and then rap. And Eric Stein perked up out of his chair and said, "Oh, he can rap. Oh, okay. Oh, he can rap." And I said, "Yeah, I can rap. I can sing and I can rap, and I can dance and I can act." But so they gave me a kind of a maybe, and they said, "We're really looking forward to talking to you. See you soon." And they gave me a call back. I believe it was like maybe a week later. Was after the initial cattle call? I think there was a callback about a week later. And who do I see doing his second stretch when I walk straight in the room with my duffel bag is Chris Marcos. And I said, this is going to be a good show. Regardless of who else is cast, this is going to be a good show. And I hope the people of Santa Maria are ready. I didn't even know where Santa Maria was at the time. I think when I got the actual offer, I actually looked up Santa Maria and like San Luis Obispo area for the first time in my life. So I saw you, and we did the repeated combo that we learned at the initial call. And I'm not sure if that was your first time learning it.
It was my first time learning it. So I
That's even
was,
better. That makes
yeah,
the
dude.
story even better.
I went straight to an invited call basically, which was I had to sing and rap right before that dance call.
Right,
But that
right,
was the first time learning it. So
right. People who were in that room were also uh, who I want to say Brittany Mac was not there. Mandy was though. Mandy was in our callback, and more developed story on her later. But she's sick in her own right, um, and so we just had a really great time. We were given a little bit of salsa flair within the choreography, uh, and it was interesting because what we were auditioned with was not what we were given later on down the line. And
which
I
is very
remember it being
surprising. It's very
straight up hip hop and a very aggressive hip hop. While may not have been the most informed choreography, I felt like it was hip hop at least. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting that they didn't uh do choreography that was going to be in the show, because usually from a callback you actually use the music from the show. You use choreo that you will probably use in the show, but this one was completely like it was a Macklemore song. And
Right, right, right. And I feel like there was a bit of like TBD in the air with who was choreographing and what their vocabulary was going to be like anyway. Um, but yeah, so we got cast. I got cast in Shrek, and I was in the dance ensemble and some of the puppeteering for that. That was my first real ensemble track where I had 4 or 5 roles within a show. Um, and it was honestly my first professional career that wasn't inside my own bubble of theater. I had Cabrillo, which turned into 5-star theatricals. I had 3DT in the area. Um, Never got cast until after In the Heights. I think it was like a stepping stone. I looked at PCP as a stepping stone to some of these bigger regional theaters. Um, and looking back at my career, like PCPA was, they treated us really well for what they had, and realizing what was out there, and how other theaters treat their actors made me realize like, oh, this is a viable career if you negotiate it, you know um,
absolutely.
but yeah, so with that, I felt like there was a lot of yeah, they didn't know who was going to be choreographing or what he was going to be saying, he or she was going to be saying. So we went through Shrek, and there wasn't really much talk about In the Heights up until about 3 weeks before, which was, I guess, our opening of Shrek. And I was really excited for all these new cast members to come, and kind of doing the math and seeing like who was being added and who was leaving for the summer. not a lot of people left for the summer, but they got into weird roles that I truly to this day believe that they should have cast different swings than putting the people who absolutely should not be in the heights in a swing position, because then you have people, you know, covering roles that don't move within their natural vocabulary. And yes, we all learned it all together, sure, but only at one point did I feel comfortable with one of the swings going on, and that was Dylan.
Mm,
That was
mm.
Dylan for Carlos at the time.
That's
And
right.
right, he
I
was the
forgot
only
about
one
that.
out of the swings that I felt like, okay, I can see him on stage,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's no shade to them. I just feel like it was weird casting.
No, for sure. I mean, that, cast again, like you said, they did the best with what they had. And I think that kind of translates over to, this situation. Um, that's who they had. That's who, I mean, yeah, they could have maybe reached a little further, held more auditions, because there are people of color, that
Even in that
are
area,
hungry.
man. Even
Yeah,
in that, the
yeah.
actors of the Bay Area who would have come down the exact opposite drive that it would be to come up from LA, like it would have happened. And knowing now what I know, sorry, I think that's correct.
Hmm.
No, knowing what I know now, there we go. Knowing what I know now, the Bay Area is so fervent with people of color and artists that don't necessarily subscribe to what we see as a conventional musical theater artist. And I felt like with that production being it so, I won't even say it's young in its infancy of regional professional theater, but In the Heights was still a very selective show to do. And I feel like yes, that area needed that show, but that area also needed a cast that reflected what that area needed to see. And at the time, we were amidst the first patriotic revolution that was Donald Trump, and he was vying for office for the first time, and some of the people in those areas, albeit not informed, whatever you want to call it, we experienced a lot of very interesting times during that time performing this show, and I don't think we realized how monumentous that was to be performing it that summer, you know.
Mhm.
And just seeing how time has really stamped a heel into that exact time frame where everything changed.
Yeah, wow. That's really insightful. I mean, when we're in it, we don't realize, because we have such tunnel vision on the work that we're doing in the art. It's like we forget sometimes to take a look at our surroundings and what's going on in the world. But it's just so crazy looking back, and we can like reflect on that crazy time that we were there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I can't imagine what that area has gone through in these past few weeks. Past few
Yeah.
months.
So let's
Praying
rewind.
for you, Santa Maria. Sorry.
Let's rewind a little bit. So you booked the role. You're in both Shrek and In the Heights, so you're cast for both shows, correct?
Indeed.
So what was your first impression of the In the Heights cast? Because you had your Shrek cast, then
Right.
you had that Shrek cast kind of translate over to In the Heights. Some left, and then you had my group of people that came in just for In the Heights. So what was
Yeah.
that experience like
Yeah.
for you?
So that was honestly, that felt a lot like when equity people join your cast, like your non-act cast that you guys have been rehearsing for weeks, and then they just plug in those cool people up top. Like we hadn't been rehearsing or anything, and we hadn't learned anything, but it definitely felt like, all right, the professionals just showed up. Everybody like cinch up a little bit, and then we had like a design party where they were showing us like all the costume ideas and all the set ideas, and we were all beaming because we had all seen the production level that they'd gone to into Shrek. And knowing that like they were ready to really deliver on exactly what they were saying they were going to design was really exciting. And when they got to costumes, like they were giving some sort of, period piece 2000s vibe, which was really awesome. I was really excited about that. Especially growing up as this is definitely dating myself, but I was 10 years old in 2004. So like all that era of like Coogee and Rockaware, all that surpassed me. I didn't understand that at the time, but like rocking it again and bringing it back like it's a period piece. I wished I had been in my 20s at 2004. Like that's some fly stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here.
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I shall not curb myself any longer, but yeah, some fly shit, and I was excited to rock it. And I knew that you had like a very 2000s vibe about you, period. So like all the Graffiti Pete stuff was like, yep, that's Chris, sweet, awesome. I wasn't too excited with how childish they were making Sonny because I was understudying Sonny and I wanted to be like a grown and sexy Sonny, but that's not a thing. So that's why they, went the way they did. But yeah, that was my first impression because you guys had all come in and you guys were dressed to the nines. We had this design party. We are kind of talking about like going into music and learning that right off the bat, learning the legend that is Matt Meckes. If you don't know, now you know. This man is like regionally and now on Broadway, like a keyboard genius, a harmony genius. I equate him to Arthur the Genius from Freestyle Love Supreme. He's just melodically thinking of things all the time. And I didn't realize how much of an impact you and I made on him until the very last few days. But that was a really cool thing. Yeah, that's my first impression. What was your first impression of us?
Well, I do remember going in because I was in the unique situation of basically being like the transfer kid, like, coming into this new school where people kind of already found their people, they've, shared experiences, shared stories. And I'm just coming in like, for the last couple months and I'm like, all right, who wants to be friends?
Yeah, totally.
But I do remember seeing you and Andy there, and I'm like, yes, because the memories of the callback all started flooding in. And I remember in the freestyle section,
master Andy was at the time.
dude, I remember his like ISOs during his like freestyle part, and I was like, I remember you. And then I was like, oh, that's that dude that did that back roll, press up, freeze. I see you guys. I see you. I was like, this show's going to be dope. This show's going to be tight.
Yeah, man. Hey, you just gave away my secret weapon. That's my audition secret weapon. Everybody's like, can you tumble? I'm like, I can do this. That's about where my tumbling stops.
But I mean, I knew like even just from meeting you guys at the callback that we were going to vibe. And lo and behold, like you two were the first ones that came up to me and started talking to me, like the very first ones.
Yeah.
And you're like, I remember the callback. That was crazy. Oh, dude, we're so excited for In the Heights. We're like doing Shrek right now and it's cool, but In the Heights is like why we're here. I'm like, dude, this is going to be so tight.
It's funny because I feel like the actual cast that transferred over from Shrek to In the Heights, they were the ones who were like, yeah, Shrek's cool and all, and I had a fun time and all, and my musical theater bones are really strong, but let's tell a story and let's move some people. Not that you can't be moved by, I Know It's Today. I was moved by I Know It's Today, but that's mainly because I loved the kids that were in Shrek, But yeah.
That show was awesome, by the way.
It was so good.
It was so cool to like see you guys in rehearsals for In the Heights, but then go see you do your thing. Like it's like when you have a friend that like, oh yeah, I perform, I do this, and then you actually go see them perform, and you're like, oh, so this is you.
Right,
This is what
right,
you do.
right.
So it was so cool to see you guys on stage. So with that, like, what was your rehearsal process like? Because you guys were doing Shrek at the same time as rehearsing for In the Heights.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, that was my first kind of summer stock thing where I'd be rehearsing something during the day and then go perform at night. We were really lucky to start kind of late. We'd start about 1 o'clock every day. So we'd get our gym in, we'd get our lunch in, and get the books. So 1 to 6, we were pretty go go go. Equity rules, like being safe and taking 15s and 10s here and there, but definitely like putting a lot on us. I remember learning a lot of the music to start and kind of having George and all the other rappers um, kind of do their own thing for a bit while we're learning all the behind the scenes parts and realizing how instrumental the voices were within the orchestration of this show. Um, so with that, we had a lot of choir parts also in Shrek. So I felt really warm going onto the bus. And we'd have about 45 minutes to the the venue, check in, have about 45 minutes till places. So you could do whatever you wanted, but 30-minute check-in, you were in the building at least, and then you could leave again if you wanted to. But we never did that. We never did that. At 30, we definitely put on our costumes and were very diligent and put on makeup. Absolutely. I actually have an anecdote about that with
Yeah.
Shrek. Adam Mantell at the time was driving himself to Shrek. He was one of the ones that didn't transfer on to In the Heights. And he had gone out with somebody else that was in the cast for In the Heights. So he stayed back after everybody left. But he was about 20 minutes away from the venue in between cell towers and got a flat tire. And our boy Andy Wyman steps up to the plate and puts on that big bad wolf costume, and he's ready to go. And 2 minutes till, because the big bad wolf doesn't go on until like 20 minutes in. So he 2 minutes till Adam shows up and he's like, all right, I'm ready to go. And Andy's like fully costumed up. And it was just such a heartbreaking moment. And we did so many at the time, Vine was really popular. And we did a Vine where Andy was just like watching everybody leave the dressing room and just like head in hands while he's like dressed up as a werewolf. It's so good. And I wish Vine was around that I could uncover these videos for you guys, but oh, they were so good. We did so many weird Snapchat filters also came out that year. And we did a lot of weird things. I think there was one where you could open up your mouth and it would just be like endless portals of your face. Um, Man, and now I hate them. I hate I hate these filters now, but they were so entertaining. I was like, government, scan my face. Give me what I want. Uh, but yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, it's a good time.
So
Rehearsal though, get back to it. Rehearsal was very rewarding because we would put so much work into it, and then we'd go do this 2-hour workout that we knew off the back of our hands, and I became really cool with like all the dressers because I was fascinated at how they do their job. um, and just walking around backstage while things were going on, how they're setting things up for us to literally just jump in and cinch on for a lot of the costumes. And I say that specifically about the night costume to Duloc. Like I had 6 layers of fake chainmail. Like I say 6 layers, 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like 2 long socks. It was so weird. And then I would have to get into Duloc, which was just a one piece with the tights and the shoes. And so they would literally just, suit me up. Um, but that change was amazing to me. And I filmed it one time my buddy Ish. Shouts out to Ish. I hope you're listening.
Ish, what up,
Um,
Ish?
Ish, good people. Um, but yeah, I filmed it, and Ish was like, "That was the fastest we've ever done." And usually I'm like skirting on, like just skirt. But that time we actually had like 30 seconds extra, and we just played patty cake for the rest of the time. Like it was so good, so good. How
That's
was
so
your
cool.
rehearsal process? Like you guys would kind of have the night off.
See, that's the thing though, is because we weren't home in LA, there was not much to do. I mean,
Yeah,
usually you get a rehearsal and then you go get a drink or food after with your castmates. You chat, you tell stories, talk about how rehearsal is going and stuff like that. We didn't really have that.
yeah,
So you guys always went off to do Shrek, and it was just so fascinating to me that you guys were able to put in just pedal to the metal at rehearsal for 5 straight hours, basically with breaks in between, and go off and do Shrek for 2 hours. Like y'all were fit.
yeah. No, we were rip head by heights. Like by the time that we were fully focusing on heights, I think that's when like you, Stephanie, Andy, Mandy, and I got really into this like Facebook push-up challenge thing, and we all tried to do each other's challenge with each other. And it got intense. Like I got real nice. Um, but yeah, for the most part, it just got better and better, and we were all inspiring each other, and showing each other. I remember going to like search for protein with Stephanie because we were like really obsessed with this one brand, and it was the first summer that I ever had like a protein regimen and a supplement regimen. And looking back at it, I was like, wow, that's a lot of effort to do. It's really great to have, but I also love cheesecake. So I don't know what to do anymore. Um, I do. It's called intuitive eating, and you follow what your body wants. But
I will say, like, hanging out with that group of people, we were such a positive influence on each other. Like, as far as health goes, yeah, but just in the sense of being there for each other, like throughout the rehearsal process, because we hit some difficult points where there was frustration, or maybe things weren't going as smoothly as we thought, but we were kind of there for each other. I mean, we would always be able to, text each other, or get together after, once you guys were done with Shrek, get together after and just rant and just, spill. And I think that was kind of what helped us get through the process, in all those hard times.
definitely, I felt like even if we were frustrated within what was going on within the production of the show, none of us let that bleed over into our personal relationships with each other. You know, like I even think about like this may be a sore subject for I'll leave names out of it, but somebody got removed from the cast for being late more than like 8 times, and none of us were bitter at this person. This person had some explosions throughout the rehearsal process and stuff, but none of us were angry at this person, and none of us wanted to see him go. um, but when he did, he was just so apologetic and realizing that he had wasted our time sometimes, you know, and I would still call that person a friend, you know. I would still call that person, somebody that I would put my neck out for as much as I would put out. Maybe not as much as I would put out for Chris, but definitely somebody I would still be there for. And I appreciate that from everybody for
Yeah,
sure.
most definitely. I mean, that cast was full of people with big hearts and big souls, and um, I'm still really good friends with most of them even today. Just still reaching out to them and stuff like that. So, what was your favorite part of the show? It could be the show itself in the Heights or the entire experience.
So I loved being in this show because it was literally being in the show. Like you're immersed within the neighborhood, you're immersed within, the storyline of what's happening with each character. If you watch that show as many times as there are people in the cast, you would see different storylines the entire way. And I thought that was really cool and nuanced and not necessarily at the hand of the direction. Um, but definitely at the hand of us as an ensemble connecting and realizing the reasons why we're entering here and reasons why we're leaving here, and the interactions that go along the way. That continued backstage. That's what a lot of people don't realize, is that also continued backstage. And the times that we would link up and just chill, like I think of the the show is an emotional wave, and at the crest of it, we were all just chilling, and then Alabanza hits, and it's like we were all finding it out night by night, and the energy was changing night by night right then, you know. Um, and I think that's really influenced within how the show is orchestrated, because we were not allowed to chill off stage. We were having to be in the VOMs and in the backstage area singing and orchestrating this story along. And I thought that was really awesome. I thought that was really, really cool. And also, like, when we would get into random freestyle or stretching circles, that was pretty cool too. Shouts out to Mandy Corbett. I was about to say a different last name. I don't know why. Mandy Corbett. I think I was
Yeah.
going to go for the middle name, Mandy Louise.
Oh yeah, that's right. She has 3 names.
Hey man, Chris Marcos, Christopher Boogie Marcos.
Yeah, some people don't even know that's not my real middle name. It's crazy. My roommate just found that out, by the way, and I've been living with them for like 4 years now. It's so funny.
I love that. I love that. My uncle's name is Happy, and a lot of his professional colleagues don't even know his first real name.
Wow.
I won't
That's
out him
crazy.
on here because I'm sure all of my uncle's constituents will want to watch this episode because I'm such an entertaining presence in their lives.
Oh man, dude, I forgot about all of those freestyle sessions. And
Yeah.
man, I found out that you can freestyle and I was like, hold up, like, can you really? Because people say they can, but let's see. And then you just busted it out. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so this guy is like for real, for real.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also my process of sussing you out, because there's like a folklore of you that I had in my head, and I was like tipped off by the TMNT merchandise, like your general swagger, and the fact that you have a Graffiti Pete t-shirt that you wear on a normal basis. So there was like a folklore of you in my head, but then like when we were actually chilling out and finding out, we both rap, we both sing, we both play guitar, we both freestyle, like dance, and we are poets, and it's just really cool to see when your preconceived notions of somebody are exactly who they are, because they're authentically who they are all the time.
That's cool. That's good to hear. I didn't know there was a folklore about me out there.
It was in my own like audition journal. Saw Chris today. He looked really good. Wanted to say hi. Chickened out. Maybe next time. That kind of thing. Because I also, like, not for nothing, you have either you're 17 years old or you're 45. Like, I thought you were maybe like of the old generation that's like, I can still dance and pay me. But you're not. You're definitely like still part of the young generation. And it's really cool to see how we're almost like extending it rather than like making a lane of our own.
For
This
sure,
is so
man.
bad.
We're
I don't mean
trying.
this is like we're not original. I'm just saying like we're taking the best. We are the cream of the crop, is all I'm saying.
There you go. There you go.
Rounded it out.
So what was your not so favorite part of the whole thing?
So I had put in my notes what was rehearsal process like, and I just put period chaos period, and then my least favorite part of the show was period chaos period. So I will say that without using names and without you know blacklisting anybody in the choreography realm, the person that they had given the job to as choreographer was from New York and lived in the Heights for a time. Those seem to be the only two things that were qualifying him to choreograph in the Heights. That being said, he choreographed in the Heights. He did a good job with the help of his associate choreographers, which credited or uncredited, I will say that till I die. We were associate choreographers. He took a lot of our vocabulary and a lot of our natural rhythms and said, yes, that, no, that, yes, that, no, that. Felt like Mick Jagger while you're writing like a comedy bit. And it's like, yes, no, yes. Um, but we created something really beautiful, and we had a lot of really great partner dancers as well that vibed with him way more than the hip hop crew did. And I felt like, there were some times where there's some headbutting, but at the end of the day, standing next to you and Andy on the pass of 96,000, and we're doing a lot of our own vocabulary mixed in with what he had on us, I felt fulfilled. So while chaos was my least favorite part, it also bloomed into one of my favorite parts, which was the cast.
And that's very interesting that you say that, because it's almost like, finding the beauty in all of the chaos that you're talking about, because it takes kind of a very skilled and special person to choreograph this show, but it also takes kind of a big human being to realize that other people know more than you.
Right.
So, the fact that the whole production team, asked for help, and we were able to, put our little stamp on it. It just goes to show what In the Heights can do for people, and the fact that we came together and really put something beautiful on that stage. It was just a testament to all of those obstacles, met and overcome, like, period.
Yeah, met and overcome. I love that. Hey, man.
So what do you think you learned or took away from the whole experience?
Um, Being my first like summer stock, I learned that asking for clarification when choreography is shaping is incredibly okay. Like that is something that you're allowed to do, and that is not a burden or a hindrance. Like I've also learned how to read the room way more than I did in the past. But at the time, I was afraid to speak up because I didn't want to seem like the squeaky wheel, and then all of a sudden the entire rehearsal shifts towards this one part that I asked for, and now it's being drilled in us 12 times in a row. You know, um, I was afraid of that, but what I'm realizing is that that's a blessing and that's care, like right there. So yeah, I think asking for help, along with the display of humility that was happening in the production staff, and them coming to us and asking like, hey, we don't know what this is, and it seems like you do, or at least you have an idea where we can point our rudder. So yeah, I've definitely learned how to ask for things.
That's great that you mentioned that. This has been kind of a running theme with some of these episodes. Is a lot of the time we're raised as young actors to just do your job, just shut up and do your job. But there are times where things become unsafe, or where you feel that you're not cared for, and it's all about taking all that frustration and anger, honing it in, and presenting it in a way that's constructive and not attacking you know the other person. And it's so important for artists to ask questions, to ask for clarity, to ask why sometimes. And if the answer is, I'm not sure right now, or you don't need to know why, then hey, that's fine. At least you ask the question and you have a path to go to. But just this idea of staying quiet and like just like, taking it is not okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I find that a lot with, breaching the idea of auditioning again in person, and putting myself out there for casting again, and realizing that maybe I am worth more than what I've put forth in the past years. Maybe my time is worth more than that. And I don't think that is a detriment to, how the casting process goes or anything like that. I think that's just maybe a difference in how I want to treat myself going forth. You know, um, and also this time has also taught me to be able to ask for help as well in other ways other than just being a performer, and realizing that a lot of people have seen me as the performer friend who kind of, I won't say has it all together, but at least has an idea or a semblance of what they're doing with their life, and knowing that right now I don't is should be okay. But it's something that I have to remind myself that a lot of us are going through right now, um, and that we need to be there for each other more so than we ever have been. And that's why I love that you and I have rekindled our friendship, because like you're a ride or die, and I know that, and I'm your ride or die, and you know that, and it's been so important um, to be connected. You know.
Absolutely, man. I look back at these times that we spent in Santa Maria and Solvang, and I'm just like, I'm so thankful for that experience. Being away from home, one for work, but just meeting genuinely good people and people that are hungry, that push you to, level up in life and are just there for you. And especially like these times right now, like you just said, it's so like conversation is so important, knowing that someone is there, knowing that someone will you know hop on a project like this, like and talk about memories. Like it's
Yeah.
just, it means the world to me. And I know you were one of the first ones that I was like, I have to interview Josh because we're like the same person. So it's, that interview is going to be really really interesting to listen to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I'm so glad that I met you, and it's great that we're chatting up again on a regular basis, not
Yeah.
like 5 years later.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And I've always seen you as like, I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I've always seen you as like my big brother in musical theater, and especially within artistry. All the things that you've been doing with Double Take and things like that. Like these are things that are stepping stones as to who you are going to become as an artist and who you are. Like they're all authentically you, and I commend you for that, because there's not a lot of people who can say that every step of the way they were exactly who they are. And that's
Thank you
something
for
I've
that.
looked up to you about for sure.
Thanks, man. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate that. So
Thank
let's
you.
get to know Josh Ditto a little better, though.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a segment called Getting to Know You. It's all rapid fire questions, this or that, fill in the blank.
Cool.
I may judge you on some of these answers, so be careful, okay?
I like it. I like it. Let's do it.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
What's on your pizza?
Ricotta cheese, bell peppers, mushrooms, and chili flakes.
Ooh, you fancy. That's probably the fanciest answer that I've had so far.
I
Ricotta?
get it. I realized the proper slice is a loaded slice, because then you can stop at one if you wanted, but also the ingredients are so light that you don't feel horrible after four.
That's very intelligent pizza knowledge right there.
Pizza knowledge.
All right. Favorite alcoholic beverage?
Whiskey or bourbon?
Yes. Yes. I swear we're the same person, dude. This is so crazy.
Awesome.
Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
In sync.
No Backstreet Boy fans yet. Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers?
Oh, okay. I didn't grow up with TMNT. I'm sorry. I grew up with Power Rangers, so I'm gonna say Power Rangers.
Respect.
Yeah.
Everyone gets so like worked up of that question because they're like, I know you love the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. And the thing is, man, like, awesome. Not for nothing. Injustice 2, they're probably my favorite characters to play with. But like, I just didn't grow up with them. Power Rangers is my thing.
Nothing wrong with that. I love the Power Rangers too. They're a close
Who's
second.
your Ranger?
I was a Blue Ranger. I was a Billy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It
Yeah.
makes so much sense for me because like I'm a total goofball geek, nerd, academic growing up, like straight A's, but then like I can swag it out when I put on the
Yeah.
suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally feel that. I totally feel that. I toggle between him and Tommy a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, definitely a Billy for sure.
All right. Something no one knows about you.
Something oof, it's hard nowadays. I'm making jewelry. Um,
What?
yeah, I'm making beads, and yeah, this is my thing right now.
Sick, dude. Are you
Yeah,
gonna
it's
sell
all
those?
polymer clay beads, and I just do it in my oven, and I think it's really fun and therapeutic.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
that
We'll
is
have to.
that
Are
is
you?
something nobody knows about me right now. That's pretty fun.
Is there a plan to like open a shop or sell those things?
So basically, I have a idea that is now, by the time this is airing, it's going to be launched. It's called Honeyfly Curations, and basically what it is a thrifting service for men. So you've heard of 5-4 Club and things like that, Jack Threads. Hope we don't get in trouble saying those names, but it's going to be a subscription service based off a personal conversation that I have with our stylists and our clients, and we source the surrounding areas for different vintage or thrifted goods. But it also extends into a vintage shop that I'm going to be posting on the blog called the Come Up. And so it's going to be a lot of like handmade goods or vintage goods that are at a ridiculous price because I found them at a certain store, and there's going to be a story posted with those and everything. And actually, your listeners are going to be getting a 25% off coupon that we'll throw them later on. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that.
That's dope. Josh Ditto exclusive right here, guys. You guys are getting some sweet deals here. So we'll definitely have to plug that.
For sure.
All right. Fill in the blank. I wish I wasn't scared to.
I wish I wasn't scared to start my own business.
But you're kind of already on that path.
Yeah, but there's a few irons in the fire. There's my own business saying my partner and I currently are looking at starting our own coffee bus and selling our own roasted coffee out of that bus. And hopefully further on move to a brick and mortar solution. But at the time, it's pandemic proof and people love coffee and they love story and they love, um, people reaching out. And so we're starting a business right now, and I wish I wasn't scared to start my business, but I am. But it's healthy. It's a healthy scare.
That's exciting stuff, man. Look at you. All right. Something you're obsessed with right now.
I'm currently obsessed with leave-in conditioners for the beard. Um, I just figured this out. That the beard is like your hair; it needs to be treated well. And I've had an on and off relationship with my facial hair for the last few years, and mainly it's been about like not being able to take care of it. So I found this really awesome leave-in conditioner. It's CBD infused as well. So after I shave and everything, it really calms down the skin, and I'm obsessed with it. It's really nice.
That's so cool.
Oh.
Something you hate that everyone else loves.
Snapchat filters. I guess Instagram filters now. Instagram filters. Yeah, because Instagram took that and they like flipped it on its head, and now everybody's doing like weird quizzes for their stories. And I'm guilty of it. Don't get me wrong. Like I
Same.
took all the like, where should you move one, where you like move your head and you answer the questions, and then it always tells me Hawaii.
All right. Who was your celebrity crush growing up?
Growing up or still, like it's stayed the same since she came on my screen. Um, Vanessa Hudgens from
Vanessa Hudgens.
specifically that first karaoke scene, like
Mm.
the HSM one. Yeah, it got me then. It got me then.
She was born in my hometown, you know.
Wow. Well, she
Yeah.
is no longer in your hometown. So I don't know if you have her current whereabouts. No, I am taken. I'm taken. But definitely Vanessa Hudgens was my childhood crush.
I'll hit her up and tell her that you're a fan. Maybe we'll get a little shout out.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever interaction I can get with Vanessa Hudgens would be pretty cool.
um, most rebellious thing you've done as a teenager?
See, the most rebellious things in my life happened after my teenage years. I think I hosted a party. I hosted a party at my friend Mike's apartment because Mike like was a foreign exchange student and he had an apartment, like not a house with people, but like his parents put him up in an apartment in Thousand Oaks, California. And I hosted a cocktail party at his house with like 6 people. And like I had just entered the idea of like a kickback versus a party. So I thought it was like a rager. So I ordered a lot of liquor and it was 6 people. And so we all like went home with a bottle that night. But like I also was not a bartender, had no idea about mixology at all. And I was making white Russians and tequila sunrises, like 4 people at the party. Who was I? Like, like I don't even remember what I Googled, but I Googled like the basic cocktails for parties, and a white Russian came up, and I made a white Russian like repeatedly. It was a horrible time. But that's probably the most rebellious thing I did in my teens.
That's pretty tame. I mean, for a teenager, I think,
Yeah,
especially if
yeah,
it
I
was
was
a
I was pretty
kickback.
good. I was pretty good. It was only when I started up with like dance team and getting into like trouble in that way, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Sorry, my camera went crazy.
no worries. I love the cat.
All right. What's the scariest thing you've ever done?
The scariest thing I've ever done. Um, well, okay, go on the line of rebellion. I snuck into California Adventures at one point. Sorry, California Adventure, the theme park in Los Angeles, or I guess Orange County. Um, yeah, I snuck in after some friends were telling me that they were going to go and do like an after hours photo shoot in like Radiator Springs area. And so they had told me that they were already going inside when my phone died. So I figured out a way to get in. And I won't tell your listeners how I did it, but I will tell your listeners that because I couldn't find my friends, I holed up at the Explorer Trail, the Wilderness Explorer Trail, and how they have the canopies up top. I posted up there in the corner until 9 a.m., just like with my jacket over me and like my head real low, and I just waited until it opened, and then I got out into the crowd. Admittedly, I rode 2 rides because like I'm not gonna not. And then I walked out, and I was like, "What a successful night!" Plugged my phone back up. 8 text messages saying like, "We're leaving. I can't find you. Leaving. Can't find you."
Dude, that's some scary stuff right there. That's pretty
Pretty wild.
savage.
Pretty wild. I mean, like the worst thing that would have happened was like I would have gotten thrown in Disney jail and asked why I was there and like searched my backpack, but all I had was like a camera and a laptop.
Mm.
You know,
All right. One thing you want to be remembered for.
my valor. I want to be remembered for my valor, and I want to be remembered as somebody who put others before himself, and also took care of himself. So my valor, for sure.
Amen. And last question. If you were able to go back in time to our In the Heights experience, is there anything you would change? Anything you would say to a specific cast member, crew member, or anything like that?
Um, I wish I would have been more gracious with my interactions with our choreographer. Realizing what he was going to be doing for the next few years after that, and realizing his heart within theater, is something that I really let go while he was struggling to choreograph our show. And I wish I hadn't given him as hard a time, when it comes to like asking about certain things. Like, he would ask about certain hinges within popping and stuff, but use such demeaning language to me. Um, like in my own personal mind, I felt like the words he was using were very demeaning because he didn't want to learn what it actually was, you know? So I wish I had been more gracious to him.
Right on, man. Well, I mean, gosh, thank you for so much for just going back in time with me and
Oh,
revisiting this whole experience. Like that summer was such a great summer, and I feel like all of us grew so much as people and artists. So thank you for being there.
totally, man. I appreciate this, and I appreciate, everybody listening to us just rambling about jokes. Just jokes on jokes. Oh man, this is great. This is really great.
Thanks, bro. So we hinted at those like projects that are on the horizon, but you want to recap all those things that you're working on real quick?
Yeah. So if y'all head over to honeyflycurations.com, you'll see what we're up to and what we're launching very soon. Um, yeah, we'll be throwing you guys a discount code for your first package, and any questions you guys have, you can hit that contact me button on that website. Other than that, you can find me at Honeyfly Curations on Instagram for business inquiries. You'll find our staff email there. And then if you want to find me more personally, I'm really active on Twitter. You can find me at Josh Ditto. There you'll find really dumb jokes and hardcore opinions on things that most people don't care about, i.e., will Dre ever hit Eminem up again? Thanking Drake for the Thank You Later album, things like that. So if you want some dumb hip hop jokes, head over to me.
Right on, dude. Thank you so much, Josh. All right, y'all. This is Chris Boogie reminding you to lead with your heart and stand on love. Don't forget to follow if you're listening on Spotify, or subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And as Mark Twain once said, keep away from those who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you believe that you too can become great. Deuces.